So Metal Gear Solid Remake is making the rumor rounds once again with a PS5 exclusivity in question. Not sure if that's the case, but we'll dive more into that and even the validity of the rumor. We're also going to be talking about Bend Studio with a small update here. Square Enix has its annual New Year's letter from the president. Some comments there that have me a little bit concerned. And lastly, we'll be talking about Kojima and Death Stranding 2. Now, before we jump into all of this, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and share the video to keep the community informed. Now, let's talk about Metal Gear Solid Remake. So if you aren't familiar, Metal Gear Solid has had remake rumors for quite a while. We've covered them on the channel extensively. And of course, this is no different, as now we have a new rumor coming out about the first Metal Gear entry, the one that originally released on the PS1. And this one is allegedly going to be remade, and this is coming from a new report by Area Hugones, who, has leaked things before in the past, like the God of War DLC, for example. And they state that Konami is remaking the original Metal Gear Solid. It's in early production, with Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater being the current priority. And once that game is out, the Metal Gear Solid Remake will be focused on next. Now, a big question for people is, well, why would they go and make Metal Gear Solid 3, then make 1, and go from there? There is a loose chronological order that they could be following here, and that is what people are assuming to be the case when they first announced that Metal Gear Solid 3 was going to be remade, right? People question, well, why would you start with 3? There are speculations about it being more accessible for a remake, whereas Metal Gear Solid 1 would be one of those games that requires a lot of effort to remake, especially in the AAA space and, on the PS5 platform and the series in the PC. Whereas with Metal Gear Solid 1, it's a lot more work. Metal Gear Solid 3 would be much more accessible for a remake approach. That is the reason why a lot of people speculate that Metal Gear Solid 3 was first chosen. But now, looking at this rumor, if it is true, it looks like it could be more about being in chronological order. While Area Hugones has been accurate in the past, I do want to say that still, with that in mind, we're going to take this as a rumor, and we're not going to put too much faith in this for now, because this is definitely a rumor that's been circulating for a long time. In regards to its exclusivity, unless it's being made by a PlayStation studio, I highly doubt that it's going to be exclusive. That, or unless Sony has secured it as an exclusive, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. But seeing how Metal Gear Solid 3 is cross-platform or multi-platform, I do see that being the case with this one as well. But time will tell for sure with this one. I'll keep you guys updated as we learn more. Now, next we have a small Bend Studio update on Twitter. Bend Studio says, hey, JD responds, sup? How's that new IP going? Bend Studio says, we cooking. And, this one made the rounds on the journalist websites talking about a Bend Studio update. And honestly, while it is an update, it's hardly something that wasn't obvious, right? So Bend Studio is still working on a project, which is what they're saying when they say we cooking. And so that's an update of some sorts, whereas they're still working on this project now. They've been working on this for a while, so I'm hoping in 2024 maybe we see something from them, maybe the next step forward, maybe what they're working on, maybe a small teaser, maybe a trailer. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that they could show us something this year, but I definitely wouldn't say this is a major update by any means. I wouldn't even be talking about this if I didn't see it making around so heavily. So just wanted to tell you guys about this one. It's a small one, but I do think that we'll see something soon. Now, next, we're talking about Square Enix, guys. Square Enix, man. They published their annual New Year's letter, and it's from the president, Takashi Kiryu, and he talks about aggressively pursuing latest technologies and trends. Previously, they talked about the blockchain, and now it's artificial intelligence. And so, personally speaking, I'm not a big fan of AI being used in the way that I believe these companies are going to use AI. It's going to take away from the true artists, the real talent. And I think, if anything, we need to double down and triple down on real talent and people that are making this art that we love so much. I don't think AI will ever be able to create the art on the level that these people, these human beings do. And so I'll always be against AI on this level. But it looks like that's something that they're pursuing. And I don't know how I feel about that. Now, they did also talk about video games, and Square Enix wants to bolster its content pipeline by strengthening development and publishing capabilities. Kiryu says the company is also vetting its existing pipeline of titles under development. Now, I do feel that we're going to see a strong push in the AAA space from these guys. I do think that we're going to see a lot of big projects. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out in February. It's next month, right? So I think that's something that we'll be looking at, and I do think that based on the success of that, we'll see them further push in that direction. Now, Final Fantasy XVI was a success. FF7 Rebirth, I imagine, will be a huge success. So I hope that we see Final Fantasy 17 sooner rather than later, and hopefully not so much of a wait in between these titles as well. Obviously, Dragon Quest is still up in the air as well. They may be wanting to do another one of those, being that their last game was successful as well, and it's got a huge fan base. So I want to see a Square Enix that's aggressive in creating amazing games like they were in the PS1 era. That is a Square Enix that I grew up with. That is a Square Enix that I absolutely adore and love, and I hope to see more from them. Now, lastly, we're talking about Kojima. He gave us an update, and he says in a tweet, this year will be another year of simultaneous productions of Death Stranding 2 and Overdose. DS2 still has some ADR left, and we will start recording Japanese voiceovers. I want to concentrate on creating games. And he says more, but that's kind of the point that I picked out there that is most important. Kojima has a lot going on. He truthfully is doing what I believe is too much. I think he's taken on way too much on his plate. He's got multiple games in production. He's got a movie he's working on. He's talking about a talk show and writing a book, and there's just so much. There's a lot on his plate, and he's only one person. You know, he can only do so much. And my fear is that, you know, putting all his eggs in all these different baskets, while it's good in some sense, I do feel like, you know, something's got to give. He's spreading himself very thin. And I think that only a matter of time till it starts to show in his production. I hope it doesn't, but I really feel that if he was just working on a couple things at a time, it would be much better. But all these different projects on the go at once is a lot for one man. And I think that it's going to definitely impact him on some level, whether it be mentally, whether it be his physical health, whatever it'll be. I just think that it's a lot, and I hope that he still is able to give us the best games possible, even with all this underway. We'll see what happens with Death Stranding 2. I don't imagine that that's going to be seen anytime this year. It's looking more and more like a 2025 game at this point. I was hoping that it would be a 2024 game, but being where it is and being with how much he has on his plate, it's looking more and more like it's probably going to be a release sometime in 2025. Maybe Q1 2025, but hard to say exactly. But that's all I have for you guys in today's video. Please let me know what you guys think about all these topics. As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you did not enjoy the video, hit the dislike button. Subscribe if you're new, and share the video to keep the community informed. I thank you all for watching. Take care.